All right, everyone, welcome to our day 2 reflection cast. If you're wondering what a reflection cast is or what this day 2 is and just joining us, today was day 2 of Sydney's Better Together Summit, talking about professional learning that sticks. And our reflection cast is where I've invited a few of our conference attendees and presenters to join me and just talk a little bit about what their biggest takeaways were, how they're going to be moving this learning forward into practice, and what their kind of most recommended sessions were in case, because we had over 60 breakout sessions over the past 2 days and 4 keynotes, in case you missed any of it, or you want to go back and watch anything. So for those who have registered for the conference, or if you haven't registered, it's not too late. You can still register and get access to all of the sessions that will now be on demand. All of today's sessions should be available. If they aren't already available, they'll be there by tomorrow morning for you to go back and view throughout the summer and throughout the next 12 months. I'll talk to you a little bit about how you can still be in the play, even if you missed day 1 or day 2 even, for our grand prizes. I'll share a little bit about that. But I invite you, if you're watching us, to, as our folks are talking a little bit about their learning, share in the comments, whichever platform you're watching this episode on, share with us some of your thoughts and ideas as well. So before we get going into the questions, I want to give everyone just a quick moment to introduce themselves. Let us know who you are, what your role is, and where you're from. And did you attend? Did you present? Was it both? Let us know. So we'll start with Carla. Do you mind going first?
Okay, I'm fine. I'm Carla Mayrink. I am the head of school of a small school in Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic, called the Community for Learning. And I'm actually from Vancouver, Canada originally, but I've been in the DR for 32 years. Is that?
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks. We'll go to Kelly next, then Sean and Dave.
Hi, I'm Kelly Pittman, and I'm recently titled as a professional learning consultant with SIBME. And so, of course, I was attending the conference and enjoying every minute of every session I could get into, and commenting and looking forward to attending other sessions later when I get into the huddles.
Yeah. So Kelly she's been a part of our virtual coaching team for a while now, but she's officially joined the big team here at SIBME, and we are so excited to have you on board, Kelly. I know you and I have collaborated a lot before. Kelly actually wrote our course on teacher formative assessment in our learning center. And so, it's great to have you back on another reflection cast, because you joined me last year for one of these.
I did.
Welcome back. All right, Sean, welcome.
Hello. Yeah, so I'm Sean Lindsay. I'm hailing here from Charlotte, North Carolina, and I'm an instructional coach for the North Carolina New Teacher Support Program, and I work at UNC Charlotte.
That's awesome. We had a lot of folks from the North Carolina New Teacher Support Program attending the conference and presenting at the conference this year, so that was really awesome. And then Dave.
Hi, I'm Dave Wakefield. I'm the founder and CEO of SIBME. And of course, we're really excited that everybody could join us this year, our second annual Better Together Summit. So really excited to see everybody take in an online format again, even though we've probably been inundated with online learning this year and probably are a little bit sick and tired of it, and want to meet face-to-face with folks and interact with people again. But what was great to see is that people were still highly engaged throughout the last couple of days, and a lot of great learning and interactivity that was happening. So always great to see.
Yeah. So Dave, I want to talk with you first. I invited you on for our day 2 reflection cast because, as the founder and CEO, we are really collaborative. When Jenny Donahue was talking about collective teacher efficacy, I was thinking about all the collective efficacy we have here at SIBME, and it's an amazing team to be a part of. I was a user of SIBME before I joined the team about 3 years ago. Best decision ever. And we are really mission driven here at SIBME. So I'd love for you to share with folks a little bit about what our mission is here at SIBME, and how does this Better Together Summit that we've done now for 2 years fit into that vision and mission?
Yeah, so before I started SIBME, I was a classroom teacher and department chair at a high school, and I always felt a little isolated as a teacher. You sort of are siloed in a room. You're well scheduled throughout the year, and it's really hard to interact with your peers and your colleagues and your instructional leaders. So SIBME was really designed to create more interactions and spontaneous, organic interactions, not always those scheduled staff development workshops or PD sessions, but really learning in the flow of work. That sort of concept that we talk about, job embedded professional learning. If we truly are going to live that sort of learning, just happens, right? All the time, anytime, anywhere. It doesn't always have to be scheduled or in a workshop, and just making it easy for teachers to have better conversations along with their instructional leaders, in partnership with their instructional leaders. And it's non-evaluative, just really ultimately feedback, conversations, collaboration. And if that can happen throughout a school year, after school, off periods, that really makes a big difference in a teacher's life and makes it easier. It's like, when is it best to learn for me? If it's really going to be if we're going to truly personalize learning for kids, we also need to do it for adults. And that's really what we're trying to do here at SIBME, is to personalize learning for adults, because everybody needs something a little bit different.
Yeah, and I think, a conference is something that we had wanted to do for a long time. We talked a little bit about this last year. Last year just really felt right. We wanted to contribute to the educational community, and really any learning community, whether they're in education or corporate or any other field. But we wanted to make sure that still honored what we believe in here at SIBME, which is the opportunity to collaborate, have that organic, that reflection, and to do it anytime, anywhere, which is why we structured the conference the way we have. We've got our live sessions, but especially this year, we were really proud to be able to have so many willing presenters who were willing to hop into their session huddles or those session rooms early, create content for folks to start to take in and really grapple with and process prior to these 2 live days. And then many of them are offering opportunities throughout the next year. So that's pretty amazing. And we've been able to do it all in our platform, because that's exactly what we were designed for. Not necessarily a conference, but this type of learning that's interactive and engaging and ongoing. So that's been pretty exciting. And I know that you've been really proud, Dave, to kind of lead that effort. So many people saying great things about the conference. Phenomenal conference, says Cindy, and definitely professional learning that sticks. So we are so excited. Keep letting us know. Keep giving us that feedback, whether you do it here or you want to send us an email or something. But I want to ask our panelists here today, what was your biggest takeaway for today? Maybe there was a theme that you noticed today and yesterday. Maybe you want to take it for the whole conference. But your biggest takeaway for today, what was it? And I'll just let you kind of choose who wants to go first.
I'll start. So first of all, before even any of the sessions that I watched or took part in, it was the conference itself. It was just the most amazing platform for learning together. It was so interactive, being able to go into the huddles and look at all of the information that people shared. And then the way that the presenters presented, like putting up videos that we could go in and give feedback on, it was so interactive. I've never had an experience like that. And I was very, very impressed with it. And then as for today, I watched Paul Bambrick's his keynote session, and I have to say, I've been hearing a lot about accelerated learning instead of remediation. And I totally agree with it, but I had no idea how to do it. And he was so clear in how to, the way that he worked with us, allowed us to try it out. It was just so inspiring and motivating. And things he said, like the magic of growth lies in productive struggle. It was just an awesome session. And I would suggest that anybody who gets a chance goes in and watches that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I have to piggyback on what Carla just said, because maybe I should have gone first.
You got to take your moment, Kelly.
Okay, then. Okay. But, you know, I had a similar takeaway in that the conference itself, because I attended, I think it was Kim Darchi, I think is how you say her name. She had grade 8 in instructional practices session. And she was talking about setting up in her virtual classroom, or for the literacy coaches, so she's kind of doing both, a virtual street where the participants in that virtual space can go along and get the resources they need when they need them. And I'm like, that's what we do. That's what we do in Sydney. So I just have to say that was a big takeaway. I was so excited. But Carla, again, I agree with you about Paul's keynote. We got the nuts and bolts, didn't we? It was just like, this is what we need to do. Yeah,
absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah, I felt like just when you said biggest takeaway, I just keep thinking about this theme of high expectations. And that is what I noticed in every single session. You know, all of the session leaders had high expectations for their participants, but they also, I feel like and maybe it was just the sessions I went to, but just every single session I was in, they mention having high expectations for students and how we can encourage that in our classrooms and do that through coaching. So I just kept seeing that and learning lots of new strategies and new ways that I can do that within my own coaching. So.
Yeah, I love that on social media a while back. I saw someone had posted, I think it might have been on Twitter, and it may have been an image that just said, you know, this COVID slide, this learning gap, it's, you know, a lot of it is in how we are perceiving it. And if we go into schools next year with these low expectations because we assume that the learning quality and the quantity of what they were able to master last year is next to nothing, then we are creating that problem when there may not be one there. There's so much that our teachers and our school leaders were able to accomplish last year that was just unbelievable and astronomical. And it may not have been perfect. It may not have been everything that we maybe felt in an in-person school year, but we all did our best. And high expectations continuing to guide us next year, I think, is definitely a theme I heard too. Yeah. Dave, do you have any takeaways that in the sessions that you were a part of today?
Yeah, when I was in Paul's session, I really actually felt sort of that moment, sort of when the light bulb went off for me as a teacher. I was facilitating a lesson study exercise in my high school faculty PLC. And we would dive in and sort of break down lessons, and we would watch and rehearse and practice. And it just felt like so many schools miss out on this sort of deep cerebral type exercise and really practice and rehearsing and learning this way. And I wish more and more professional learning would facilitate this type of interaction with their colleagues, because that's really where you really learn the art and science of teaching. And when you're sitting down with others, teachers teaching each other, you're going to find, you're going to accelerate that learning that you mentioned, and you're going to see a huge difference in a teacher's classroom with their students in just the way they prepare and they plan, and then they, execute every day. And when you have that sort of mindset as well as that culture in your school, teachers are going to give it their all, and they feel like, hey, I want to get better. I want to perfect my craft. I want to be treated as a professional. And the more we can encourage that and do that in our schools, you're just going to see just tremendous change in sort of the way teachers teach and the way students learn. And I just love that exercise that he was able to do online even. And people think, oh, you can't really do this online, but absolutely you can. And just the way he was able to draw out that engagement from the participants on the panel. And I think some of you were on that panel. So it was just great to see that participation and sort of being put on the spot. And it's uncomfortable, but that's, when we go through this struggle, when you talked about the struggle, that's where, learning is really going to happen and progress is going to be made.
Yeah. And I still am giggling at the image of when Paul asked all the panelists who were volunteers there, and some of them weren't volunteers. Kim Blumke, I have to give her a shout out because I went ahead and added her without asking her, and she was like, "Good Lord, I am on the camera." So, but I have to giggle because when he told all the panelists to not look at the professor's response for the next 2 minutes, to look away. Sean, you did not know what you were like. Oh, where do I look? So I had to giggle at that, but I think that was really powerful. And what I also, in Paul's, I also hear, in your example for what you pulled from Paul's keynote, I also hear and am reminded of what Dr. Gorey shared with us, that, that culture eats strategy for lunch, right? And it's about our culture, which brings me to what Jenny Donahue said around collective teacher efficacy, and Dana Sanders and Lisa Sandifer around the important work of what we do as coaches and instructional leaders to build those processes. I think it was definitely something that I think is important. And this idea of this productive struggle and access to the standards and the curriculum, and a lot of my special educators, you know very well that access to general curriculum, but really thinking about how do we make that the universal design as we move into next year, and what are different ways that we can think about the professional learning experiences that we design for those around us, whether we are a teacher leader or a new teacher who's coming in to be a colleague with others and engage in peer colleague relationships, all the way up to the different roles we have at the top level of districts and in our consulting work. And I want to share one of our audience members. The biggest takeaway is the importance of professional development and interaction between other professionals. As a student, I often hear teachers complain about PD, but it's so important. So Miss Hall is one of our attendees who is a beginning teacher, and so she's been soaking up everything she can throughout this. If you haven't seen her on Twitter, she's been pretty big on Twitter along with Sean here, and so it's been really, really awesome to see. So definitely thinking through that, sharing a couple other responses. Enjoyed the conference. The culture of learning, even when at a local level coaching components, the video and use of feedback is not yet happening to support teachers. So lots of resources. And again, so many opportunities to do what Stacy Comer just shared, is that she's going to pull bits and pieces from each of the sessions and formulate a plan to start using this fall. So I love this, and we're going to talk a little bit about our panelists' next steps here, but I want to jump to my next question, and I want to invite all of our viewers to also put it in the chat. If you know the session number, that's awesome. If you know just the presenter's name or a piece of the title, that works too. But I want to know, for the folks who didn't get to be in all 60 breakout sessions or see all the keynotes, I know Paul Bambrick Centoyo's one of the ones on Carlo's most recommended list, but are there any other sessions that you recommend people go back and watch now that it's all on demand?
Okay, I'll go first. This time. I do have one. This is one that if you are new to coaching, you don't want to miss. You don't. And she was first thing in the morning, but I can tell you this: Allison Peterson had so much energy. You did not need coffee. She was just like so energetic, so great energy, great info. I loved that session, and I'm new to coaching. No, I'm old. I've done coaching for a while.
Experience.
But thoroughly enjoyed that, and want to put that plug in there. One thing that I really need to share from her session is the idea of that professional learning or a formal PD session can funnel into the one-on-one coaching experience.
Mm-hmm.
Loved that visual when she explained it. So
Yeah.
Very nice.
That's really cool. We had very similar experiences. We were in the same session because that was the one that I was going to say. If you are a new coach or if you're not new to coaching, that session, that one just got me so excited. That idea about PD being a funnel, but also the idea of organic coaching and just how you can take exit tickets from professional development that you lead and use that to lead into natural coaching cycles. Like she even does work with Jim Knight's impact cycle. And I've just done some PD around that, and I'm excited to use that for next year. So that was a great session. I've got to look back at my schedule, but there were so many ones. Oh, the blended coaching one at the end. Corey, you're gonna have to talk about yours.
I was hoping you would not mention that one.
I know I had to. It was a really great ending just because we talked so much about how can you do this great impactful work with a caseload of 30 teachers or with a large caseload. And I really think that blended learning or blended coaching is that way to make sure that we can really meet people where they are in just flexible models.
Yeah, I did. I shared with the folks who attended my session that I am a rule breaker, a quiet rule breaker. I like to follow the rules, but I really find freedom within form. I like to know where I can pull and stretch that structure. And that's really what I think blended coaching is for me. It's taking the best of virtual coaching and the best of the in-person components and really being able to make decisions around how I design. And it looks different for each teacher based off of their needs and their own, what's meaningful for them in a professional learning experience. And so I was really excited to get to share a little bit about that concept and that idea. And I think we've got a little group joined. So if you didn't watch that session, that's session 246, go back and check that one out and then drop in the comments of that session's video what we can do to move forward. I think we're going to do some mini sessions and maybe a couple of group think tanks moving forward. So that's exciting. So you another one, Sean? Go for it.
Well, I just saw Kyle Howard in the comments. He mentioned creating a culture of feedback and collaboration.
Yes.
Great one. I love that one. They started off talking about the opportunity myth, which once again, it goes with that whole theme of high expectations for our students and just making sure that everyone has access to that work. So attend that one if you are interested, if you want to know more about the opportunity myth. It was a great segue. They talked about, I think Paul Bamberg kind of talked about high expectations, and it goes straight into opportunity myth. So that was a good, I don't know.
I saw you tweet about that one too. So yeah, that was good. That was good. I want to share also David Taggart, who's watching, said session 244, Bridging the Community to School Gap. Great data on not only parent involvement, but also student academic growth. So there really are so many. Dave, do you have one that really stuck out to you, one of our breakout sessions?
I don't want to have any sort of bias towards anybody's sessions. I think they were all fantastic, and I would encourage everybody to go back and watch every single one at least at 2x speed. You can get through them in half the time. So if you're trying to save time, you can increase that playback speed. But if you didn't attend my session this morning, you can also attend that one. There's the bias. No, it just highlighted what's to come at SIBME this year. So if you are curious as to sort of the new features that are coming out for the school year, as well as sort of the roadmap over the next 12 months, if you are a SIBME user, definitely check that out. And I would encourage you to watch it in 2x speed, because you don't need to hear, you can get it done in 20 minutes. But it's just a little bit about what's to come if you're curious about that. But the rest of them, I know, we had a lot of great sessions today, and I don't want to I want everybody to go watch everything. So I don't want to pick anybody's individual session.
Yeah. And while I share one of my top recommended sessions, just because I know it was a big topic, because it was on both EdCamp days that there were groups that wanted to talk about this, I'm going to give you guys just a little time to think about, and invite folks who are viewing to think about your response to this question. What steps are you taking to move your learning from this conference into practice, right? That's the part that really is that sticky part of professional learning. It's not just that my mind is blown and yes, I hear what you're saying, you're speaking to me, but I'm going to now take that and use that to drive my mission forward as an educator. So think about that, and I'll just share one of my favorite sessions I got to host today for Kim Blumke. Both of her sessions, days are really great. First one was on micro learning. It's just a short 30-minute session. But today she did a session on video coaching, and we had lots of folks who were really interested in this idea. I think especially coming off of this past year of a lot of instruction being videoed and recorded, and how they can use that and maximize that in their coaching. She has so many amazing resources, from start how do I even create this vision of what my video coaching would be, all the way to the surveys and forms you could use with your teachers to be able to measure the ultimate impact of that video coaching that you're doing. So check that one out. And again, all of these sessions are available for the next 12 months. When you go in and watch those videos, it's still interactive because you can make comments on that. A lot of our presenters have said they can't wait to go back in and see the people who respond, who are watching it asynchronously. So, and then one plug, and I'll mention it again before we wrap up as well, is there's still 2 more weeks. So you don't have to consume it all right now and this week and then the next week. But if you are actively engaging in content, watching videos, making comments, posting discussions, uploading your own resources, that takes you closer to earning the big prizes: a trip for 2 to Tulum, Mexico, an iPad, an Apple Watch. Not that you need those external motivators for this amazing learning content, but we definitely want to just kind of shake up your summer a little bit, give you something as a reward. And so for the next 2 weeks, we'll still be racking up those points for any sessions you participate in asynchronously. All right, so let's hear it. What are your steps moving forward? What are you going to do? What's your action steps?
Well, I'm definitely going back through a lot of the videos that I've missed, but I have to say, at the end of this school year, normally I take a couple of weeks to just kind of relax before I start thinking of school again. And I thought I was going to need the whole summer to get over this school year because it was just so tough. But this conference really motivated me and gave me high energy to get started again. I'm thinking of so many things that I want to implement. So, and first of all, all of the coaches and the people that I watch that have books, I ordered them all. I'm going to be very busy. And, but I'm also starting to plan out how I'm going to work with my coaches to use all of this information to help us get better at what we're doing. We use the SIDME platform in our school, and now I just know I see so many possibilities that I didn't know about before. So I'm really excited. I'm excited to get going and to start getting my ideas down on paper. So
I love that. What about you, Sean? I'm gonna pick you because it looks like you're ready, but you were watching Kelly. So we'll
I was trying to let him go first.
Oh, I appreciate that. No, a little wait time. Honestly, I've got equity on my mind, and that's kind of been it's been a buzzword lately. But I've been thinking about how can I impact, I don't know, like teacher beliefs. How can I impact the rigor in their classrooms and having them, once again, I keep saying high expectations, but really just like student achievement. And so I'm building with some other colleagues this instructional playbook. And I definitely plan on using tons of these strategies and just using all these inputs to make us have more equitable classrooms for our students. So that's what's on my mind. That's what's on my heart. And how we're going to do this. I mean, there's resources everywhere. If you're watching this right now and like you haven't been able to open up a link or open up, some workbook, you're missing out. It's all here. So there's so many people, and I don't know, better together is a really great tagline, because I really do feel like we're better together. Everything that's happening on Twitter in the last 2 days, like that is my own little, I don't know, that's how I'm holding myself accountable to my learning and all the things that I have learned. Like I can't let any of this learning go to waste. So.
Yeah, I love it. And remember, it's not just access to the content. We have access to each other, right? Where we can continue to be better together throughout the school year, sharing ideas. That's what those discussions are for. And many of those presenters have created that. But even if they haven't, go in there and say, all right, here's my step. Who else is doing this? I'd love to, create a group together. And that's exactly what the platform does, and why we're trying to give access to you all. We're not trying to, we are giving you access for the next 12 months. So I love that. And a playbook, right? Speaking to my heart, I love playbooks. I'm a big fan of playbooks, and I'm also a fan of Jim Knight, and he's a fan of playbooks. So that is a really great idea. There's too many things to just do all at once. So Dr. Gorey reminded us that hashtag my small step. She invited you all to put your small step in there, and make sure you mention her and mention the conference, and she'll reply to you. But I think that's important to remember is take it all, archive it in some way. Know that you've got it already archived in the conference, but take small steps. It just takes one small step to make a really big impact, right? A shift, a change, just an enhancement, and it can be really, really powerful. Kelly, I know you're coming into a new position here at SIBME, doing a lot of work with our virtual coaching. Do you have a small step in mind as you're thinking about all these sessions and the content that you've done?
I do. It's actually the session that you mentioned, and Stacy's comment has popped up there a couple times with Kim Blanke's session. I have plenty to think about and implement. One being the one document running along through the entire coaching cycle. I just thought that was something worth thinking about and considering. But then also at the last session I attended, moving the needle on, I don't remember the whole title, but moving the needle in instructional coaching or something like that. But that came up. The idea I pulled out from that I know I need to do is intentional habits. Yeah, intentional habits that will hold myself accountable and coach in my coaching. So.
Yeah. If I could recommend a book to anybody who's looking for a way to start to kind of go from these mind-blown big ideas all the way down to action, it's The Compound Effect. I love that your intentional habits and these small steps y'all are mentioning really reminded me of that book. It's a great book. And again, it's just this one small 10% micro change can really start to add up as you get going. So I love that. Dave, any action steps for you? Anything that you're planning as you're moving ahead moving forward?
Well, yeah, I mean, we have we're ending our year, of course, June 30th, and then our new year starts July 1. So, amazingly, we use SIBME internally at SIBME. Now we're around 50 people. And all the tools that we have at our disposal, are used in schools, but we use the goals module to track our own individual OKRs at SIBME. So a big thing, in terms of what I've been thinking about as of late, as you scale an organization to get bigger, and I think everybody on this call knows, just having, run schools and so on, you have a big staff that you have to work with, and how do you get everybody to align to your vision? And, that gets challenging as you grow. And SIBME has gone through a lot of growing pains over the years, and every year is really a fresh start, a new beginning. Just like a new school year, you almost have to reinvent yourself every year, especially when you change so much. SIBME changes pretty rapidly when you think about it, and our technology changes. Last year, it looks very different. The platform looks very different from last year. So each year it changes, and hopefully we're moving and getting better and making more impact. And ultimately, that's what we want to do: is connect more people, help schools improve their practice, engage in better conversations, really transparent, opening their building up to be more transparent, and being able to really know what's going on in a building, and everybody being comfortable with that, right? I mean, we're like at Sydney, we want people to take risks and to fail at things, and that's okay. And as a teacher, sometimes I didn't feel like that was encouraged all the time, that we were always striving for perfection, but we only get better when we fail at things. And hopefully we're empowering people to take more risks and just try new things. And ultimately that's really what I want everybody to do at Sydney this year, and continue to do it, and because they've been doing it that way.
Yeah, I love that, and it really is. It's that psychological safety, has to be there so that we can have a culture of learning, a culture that is change resilient, and that can rise to any occasion together. And I think that's the thing that as educators, all over the world, we really have started to repair and bust some of those silos, back to one of my favorite sessions of today with Kathy Ferguson, and start to, really start to be more seamless as a whole together in supporting all of our students all together. So I love that. So many great things. Another thing, going back to Carla's next step of thinking about your coaches and how you can start to go through this content. Last year, we had a few schools that shared with us that they did session studies where they would pick a couple of sessions and, okay, everybody, we're all going to go watch that sometime this week, and we'll have a discussion about it, and then pick an action step. I think it's a great way to start to go through the content. And again, you don't have to do it all right now because this content's not going anywhere. But definitely check out those sessions you're most interested in, see if there's any groups that are going to continue learning. We are so thankful for everyone who made this a possibility. This conference would not be as interactive and as engaging as it is without the people attending, interacting, and engaging with us and our presenters. So huge shout out to our attendees who have come in with open minds and shared ideas, our presenters who have come in to share all of their wisdom and their knowledge and skills with us. We are so thankful to everyone who helped make this conference a reality, and a huge shout out to Dave and the Sydney team for providing great customer support as we move forward, and all our hosts. I know we're all going to go take a nap after this. So all right. Well, thanks so much for joining me today, Kelly, Carla, Sean, and Dave. It was so great having you on. And I know we'll continue to collaborate as we move forward. Thanks, everyone, for joining. Feel free to continue adding comments of your favorite sessions, your takeaways. Don't forget to use the hashtag SydneyBetterTogether if you're making comments anywhere else. And we will see you all in the continuing months, and then again next year for our third Better Together Summit. Look forward to it. Have a great summer and year, everyone.
Bye now.